No! Britonia, no! Oh no! Oh, the humanity, look at that battleship floating to the ground! No! Boosh. Lovely. Hey everyone, Spazzy Dragon here, aka Syndromes from Discovery. Welcome to my video, Discovery Freelancer Let's Play version 4.87. Or, as it's usually called, just 4.87. Anyway, it's been quite a while since our last update. The last one was about a year ago. A lot of things have honestly changed, so I actually wanted to make a video of this, but I realized that I make either Let's Plays or tutorials, so why not combine them? Seriously. Tutorials tend to lack the context. For example, you sort of are told what to do in what situation, but you don't actually see the situation itself. You don't know how it looks like. And at the same time, if you're a new player and you just want to see some Let's Play videos, you can see what is going on, but you probably don't understand it. So this is going to be a bit of an attempt of mine. This is a completely new video series of mine. It's going to pretty much be a mix of a Let's Play, as in I'm going to start from zero, as a new player would, and I'm going to show you how to advance through Discovery, at least in-game. At the same time, I'm going to show you how everything works, so it is going to be a tutorial. At a third time, well, thirdly, it's going to be a collection of my own personal little tips and tricks. So, obviously, first of all, this video is going to be totally biased. It means that I'm going to be showing you what I want you to see. At the same time, I would like to tell you that the way I'm going to play is probably not the best way, or it's not going to be the fastest way, but at the same time it's pretty much the way I would do it if I was given the chance to start over, which in this case is going to be pretty much like that. So this video, at least it's supposed to be a test. Depending on the feedback, I'm going to either continue or scrap it. So, anyway, if you're a new player, welcome. Welcome to the Madhouse. I hope that this video is going to help you survive Discovery, because attracting new players has never been a problem for Disco. It's actually keeping them that's been a problem, because quite frankly Discovery is as newbie friendly as Microsoft Access, and if anyone has to work with that, I feel your pain. Anyway, going into this video, I expect that you already have read the server rules, so I don't have to explain them here and there, but at the same time I actually hope that you have played Freelancer, but if you haven't, well, no worries. Anyway, let's just join our server. Just like any multiplayer game, selecting a character name is probably going to be the, one of the worst parts of your, trip into the game. But this is where I will mention what we usually mention. Your name must make sense in roleplay. It must be compatible with the Freelancer universe. So obviously the server I'm making this video for is the official roleplay server, so if you're someone who likes roleplay, welcome, you're gonna have a good time, in theory. If you are someone who doesn't really have anything for roleplay, or you don't like roleplay, there's nothing preventing you from actually playing it as long as you obey the server rules, and, no one's gonna have any problems with you. Anyway, so any sort of swear words and characters, like @ signs, $signs, all of that shit is not going to fly here. The admins are going to either rename your ship by force, charging you with the rename fee, or if the character name is actually very offensive, they're just going to delete it, regardless of what kind of ship it is. So this is actually where I'm going to give you my first tip. As a new player, you are probably going to fuck up at some point, so never choose a name that you would like to be known. For example, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is actually choosing a name which is the same as your forum name. or maybe some other name that is very dear to you, because if you fuck up, things tend to stick. The thing about Discovery is that the community is the right size of the community. It's large enough for you always to have new friends to discover, new people to blow up, etc, etc, but at the same time it's actually small enough that you as an individual actually stand out, and people will remember if you fuck up. So anyway, my suggestion is you need to make a character name which you can discard at any given moment. For example, I understand that you would like to name your character the Normandy or Harbinger or whatever, but those names are easy to remember. A lot of players actually, you will see that, a lot of players actually name their characters as first name, last name. For example, John Henderson, for example. These names are unique, obviously, but at the same time, at least this is again from my perspective, I sort of have troubles remembering these names. So, for example, if you make your character very generically named, people won't be able to remember you that easily. So if you do happen to make some enemies, and you will, they won't be able to find you that easily. So let's just pick up a name for our new character. So let's go with Ron Dennis. So the only problem with this with names like these is that they're basically used by the more experienced players. It means that they actually are using a name and surname of a character that they have fleshed out, that they're role-playing on the forums, they have a Wikipedia page. Basically what I'm trying to say is that this sort of name actually make people think that you are an experienced player, so they will obviously not treat you as a newbie. Whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, that is completely up to you to decide. So let's just begin. So Discovery as a mod, it's actually pretty funny in the way that currently it's the most populated Freelancer community. Discovery is pretty much the closest thing you will have to Freelancer 2, because unlike other mods where they make a complete change to the game itself by implementing new ships and systems and you know, game mechanics, Discovery actually forgoes the whole how do you even say that, you know, total conversation, you know what I mean, total conversation model, whatever. Discovery is not like that. It actually builds on the actual lore, so it doesn't sidestep too much. Now, obviously, we do have a new house, and we have a new factions, new ships, new systems, but they don't clash with the actual lore. So, if you were a fan of the original Freelancer, you will find that Discovery is pretty much Freelancer, just with a whole lot of new things tagged onto it. So, anyway, we have undocked from Planet Erie, and this is where all of the new characters start off. And as you can see, you aren't actually... This guy is shooting me for some reason. You are not, in fact, a Starflyer, but you are actually a civilian shuttle. This was because some of the newer missions and the newer NPCs and the NPC behavior actually make it very hard for new players to do missions. And, you know, missions should probably be the last thing you want to do. Anyway, as a new player, you will quickly find that if you want to properly roleplay on the server, or in the case if you're not too interested in roleplay, you can actually... This guy's still shooting me, what a faggot. Anyway, if you are not too interested, okay, you can just have a few friends flying around, join raids, kill shit. But, again, you will quickly find that you need money. Quite a lot of money, actually. So we start off with 25,000 credits, and this is not a lot. A brand new ship costs about 2 million credits, and to fully upgrade it, you will need about 25. So we have a long way to go. First things first, we need money. So, something you will quickly learn is that probably the fastest and the best way to do this is to actually make a bank account. So, how this works is that we are going to make a completely new character. And we're probably going to use this character as our first bank, because the thing is, if you create a new character, you actually need to fly it around 15 minutes, otherwise it's going to get deleted in about a week. But again, so the starting system we are in is called Pennsylvania, and it's located in the center of the universe and in Liberty. As you can see, we all have all the vanilla systems actually mapped out, but they are completely empty. We don't have a map. So, pro tip number 1. We actually have a thing called restarts, and you can see them by typing in /show restarts. So this green ball of text represents the various restarts you can use. If you want to, for example, at some later occasion you want to make a Rainland military character, in vanilla Freelancer you'd actually have to fly to Rainland, do missions to wrap up your character, but in our case, because this is a roleplay server and setting up a character is an out-of-roleplay necessity, sorry, English is not in fact my first language, we are just going to use a restart character. So how this works, first of all you need to be docked. By doing so, you will be able to /restart. So actually let's take a quick look at what we had. So we want a completely or as neutral character as you can physically have. So what we're going to do is we are going to probably restart as Liberty Civilian, because you will see. So all you need to do is /restart Civilian, because that is, I think, how it was written. Let me check. Liberty Civilian, yes. It's not case sensitive, by the way. So a quick reminder, if you restart a character, you will lose everything on it. So for example, if I had 2 million credits on this, I would lose them all because of the restart. So I just entered the restart code. Now we need to wait 10 seconds and we will be able to redo everything. So why should I bother with a restart, you ask? Well, that's pretty simple. First of all, you are going to get a proper reputation sheet. As you can see, it is not perfect, but it is as neutral as it's going to be. We are hostile to guards, a few pirate factions. I'll tell you about the cards later when we actually encounter one. It's a bit of a mindfuck here and there. As you can see, we actually still have the same shuttle, so nothing really has changed. But this is necessary because by restarting it, I already showed you the fact that we started off with a completely empty map. But now, if you check it out, you will see that we have all of the completely vanilla systems fully or almost fully explored. This is a very good thing to have if we're going to make an actual trader first, because not having, you know, if we don't have places to go, you would actually have to do, you know, by trial and error, just fly around and try to understand what goes where. So let's look at this fellow here. He has a Freelancer ID, armor upgrade. He is flying a Raven Stallion. Just look at this magnificent ship. Just look at it. You will have that one. Actually, if we make a proper trader, you will have that one. You would be able to make one of these, actually 2 of these per every trip you make. So first things first, we need to start doing some monies. We need money. So as you can see, this character has a civilian shuttle, as we already saw, This thing only has 40 units of cargo space, so obviously this is not the best ship for trading. So let's just fly around a little bit and see what we can find. I'm going to show you how to actually do this. Many people start off with mining. Mining is basically shooting the little rocks in asteroid fields and waiting for valuable ore to fall out. It will be directly transferred into your cargo bay. I'll touch upon mining a bit later because it is quite complex. It's not that easy. But first of all, we need to get a better ship, so we're just going to fly back to Pennsylvania. As you can see, the Pennsylvania jump gate is actually located where the Atka, or wasn't it Atka? It was something research station. You know, the one in from the single player storyline. It's been a while since I played it, so I don't actually remember the name. Okay, so while we're in transit, I'm going to explain to you how the ID system works. As you can see, every ship you fly, every new player you start off has an ID. See, this ID is actually needed for many things. First of all, it controls your reputation. It automatically adjusts it. So, for example, you can't have a pirate and be friendly to the local law enforcement, for example. At the same time, it actually limits you to the ships you can fly. So, for example, this is a freelancer ID. It means that I am a freelancer. I can pretty much go where the hell I want, but that actually limits the actual ships I can use. For example, I cannot use any transports with more than 3,600 cargo, and I cannot participate in any unlawful actions. At the same time, I can only fly fighters, freighters, transports, and gunboats. So obviously there are many more ship classes in the game. For example, we have something like a gunboat-ish frigate transport. We also have cruisers, destroyers, battle cruisers, carriers, dreadnoughts, battleships. You will see all of them. So we are currently going back to Pennsylvania because I'm going to actually show you the first place you can actually start earning money. This is not going to be that easy, but still. Believe me, as a new player, this section when you're flying around in a shuttle is probably going to be the most annoying part, and it's going to take just a little while. But believe me, as soon as you get a proper ship, that will be quickly fixed, and you will be able to make money in no time. Alright then, we are currently nearing Pennsylvania, sorry, Erie again. As you can see, the only reason why we had to make all that trip was just to restart our character like this. Okay, so as you can see, there's a helium field over here. It's called the Helen Nebula. A lot of people would actually tell you that the first thing as a new player you want to do is check it out, because you can mine helium there on your shitty little ship and go and sell it off here on Erie, but that is not going to be the case. See, there is a reason why I wanted you to restart this character, and that is, as I already said, to get a better list of bases we can actually sell off our goods. So, if you would just undock from Erie and start mining, the only sell points you would actually be able to see when you press on the cargo would be Erie, and you would get only those prices. So obviously, you might think that, oh well, that's pretty good. And as far as I remember, that thing sold for, I don't even remember. It's been a while. So look at this. See these little rocks which you can shoot. So this is how you mine Disco. As you can see, there's nothing actually falling out of these. If you played Vanilla Freelancer, you probably remember that you'd actually have cargo units actually fall out of them, but no, this time we're actually have them directly transferred into our cargo hold. So right now I'm injecting all the unnecessary bullshit I have. Well, actually the server rules you could keep with yourself and just, you know, read up on them if you need to. But right now we just need to have a full cargo hold of helium, and there they are. As you can see, mining helium is pretty easy, but then again, the sell point is actually pretty easy. So there we go, Planet Erie. This would be the only one visible to you if you hadn't restarted the character. As you can see there, it sells for $175, which is not really that much. But if we actually move up a little bit, you will find that these actually sell quite well in Honshu for $4,320. Obviously, in our case, we only have 40, so we're not going to get that much, so a full trip to another house capital system would make about 15 minutes. So 15 minutes in this little thing, that is going to be a lot, so we will need to find a alternative way. Actually, such roads are pretty much done with high-end transports. For example, the advanced train, which is a cargo hold of 5,000. So obviously that is going to be the biggest transport ship you actually can have with a regular ID. So let's just quickly fly down to Airy, drop this thing off, and see what we can think of, because mining helium in this little thing is going to take forever. So just as we thought, bringing helium to planet Airy did not give us too much money. With our 40 cargo space, we actually only got 7,000 credits for it. So obviously this is not exactly a viable way to make money. Now this is right now, because we actually have a thing called player base plugin, and which would allow players to build their own bases, and usually there is a base around here belonging to a player group who actually buy helium and then transport it to Kasari. So considering the bases are turned off, this is not exactly an option for us as a new player right now, so we will just need to find a better way. Actually, this is day 2, because I had to cut our previous recording short. As you can see, it's very early morning. There's only about 30 people online on the server, and this is the exact moment where making money on your character should be the easiest. And I hope that I will get to actually show you why. Because, okay, so here's the thing. When there's less than 100 players on the server, the NPC spawns sort of flare up a little bit. It means there's a lot of more NPCs being spawned right there, see? So these are the ones we don't really care about. Those are just some light fighters. The NPCs we are interested in are actually transports and capital ship patrols. So when it comes to transports, it means that if you have a powerful enough ship, you can actually destroy them to get their cargo. This is a very viable way to make money. When it comes to capital ship patrols, there is a bit of an issue with them when they actually ram planets, and they drop cruiser and battleship commanders, which by the way sell for almost 1 million credits on planets. So that is a very easy way to quickly get up the necessary 2 million credits for the Kamara, which I showed in a previous episode. For example, look at this. This is a universal transport. Obviously we can't harm it with our little shitty... Well, we can, but we don't have the necessary cargo space to actually do anything with the Mox they are carrying. Mox actually sells for 2,000 credits per unit in Liberty. It's bought in Bretonia and Rainland. So this, if we actually had a good enough cargo ship, we could attack this NPC, get this cargo, and sell it off in the next space without having to spend 15 minutes flying from point A to point B, from Bretonia to Liberty. But the only problem is that by shooting NPCs, obviously, your relationship with the NPC faction changes, which in return reflects here in our NPC stats, in our reputation sheet. But here's the thing. By shooting only one NPC, it changes very little, so you can actually kill these NPCs, then take a bribe from a bartender, and actually restore your reputation with minimal loss. You actually gain a very good profit, but again, that is going to be a viable solution only if we upgrade the ship. As I said before, these first hours you spend in this little thing are probably going to be the worst, because you don't actually have too many ways to make money. The idea itself was that new players would have to mine helium, but as you can see after a few changes, we are still running a beta, so some of the server functions are not online, so this will make things a little bit more difficult. Actually, if we check the restarts again, you will see that there is a thing called beginner. It means that there was a server rollback which basically rolled back all the progress for 1 month. So new players were given this Raystart beginner ship, which gives you a pretty decent transport actually. And the only thing why we're not using it right now is the fact that I wanted to make a tutorial based on a usual new player starting to play. So this is not going to be easy. As you can see, there is no first step available for you to make money, so we will need to do an alternative. There is an easier way to do this, obviously, and this involves official player factions. Now, they are pretty much like clans in any other game, like World of Warcraft, or for example, the corporations in EVE Online. Actually, a side note here, since there's not a lot of, games like Freelancer, I will be referencing and comparing it to EVE Online quite a lot, so, just heads up. So, the idea is that new players are often sought for these factions because the players in these factions are usually very helpful. They want to show new players how things work. But when it comes to actual player factions which play the corporations, the traders for example, they will usually give their new players some sort of very basic transport, and that is a very good way to start off your server. The only reason why I'm not actually advising you to do this, again, this is my own personal bias against it, is because you as a new player should fly around for about a month and not stick to one particular region of Sirius. You need to fly around just a little bit, get acquainted with everything, and as you interact with the people around, you will probably find a very good spot for you to settle down and where you can start building your first characters. Again, what we're currently trying to do is build a money-making character. We can worry about the actual characters you might want to play a bit later when we have the finances for it, because, like I said, everything costs money. And Freelancer just crashed for a moment. That is to be expected. We only have the beta running right now. Okay, so as I was saying before, remember when I said that Freelancer community is a little bit newbie unfriendly? That's not exactly what I mean. It doesn't mean that there's people around that would try to harm you, like hunt down new players just for the lulz. I'm pretty sure that there are some people like that, but usually that's not the case. As I said, Freelancer Discovery doesn't have any problems of attracting new players. They have problems by keeping them, and one of the problems is the actual community itself. As already said, it's pretty small, but the thing is, we have a very irrationally large expectations we would like to... That's my phone. So yeah, we have pretty big expectations from new players which are not really rational. So, for example, just because you posted on our forum in the welcome threads, suddenly everyone thinks that since you are registered on the forum, you probably know everything that is to know about Discovery. The thing is, basically everything you need to know is written on the forum, but for some reason everyone thinks that just because you're a new player and posting on the forum, it means that you have read every single bit thing of ever written ever. So obviously that is a bit retarded to think, but that does not really change the fact that people do seem to not understand that for a new player, understanding all the rules, all the written rules, all the unwritten rules by the way too, which, by the way, I'm gonna try to explain to you in a different occasion, in a different video. Right now we are hunting for NPC patrols. We need capital ship patrols. So they smack into this planet, we actually get some cargo out of them, but apparently this is not the case. Ah, there you go. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is a pretty standard NPC capital ship patrol. As you can see, it's a battleship with 4 gunboats. All of these ships are flyable, by the way. I'm going to actually talk about the ships in a later occasion. Something I'm going to tell you up front is that bigger in Freelancer does not necessarily mean better. There is no such thing as a best ship type. I've seen a lot of new players instantly look at these things and go like, holy crap, look at the damage these things can dish out, I want them now. And then they grind and grind and grind, and they got their battleship, which is a pretty cool ship to fly, and it offers a lot of roleplay experience and roleplay possibilities, but at the same time, it's a very specific ship. It has its own specific set of rules, and its own, you know, quirks. For example, imagine this thing costs about 600 million credits. If you are playing Freelancer every day and you already have a 5K, it would probably take you about a week to get this thing. That's not really a lot, considering if you compare it to games like EVE Online, where you actually have to build your character and everything. This is Freelancer is obviously not like that. It's not RPG. If you have the money, you can buy anything. But the thing is, people usually try their best to get the largest ship in the game, and then someone rolls out a few bombers against it. Ships you can buy for, I don't know, about 30 million credits, fully set up, and they kill it, and people are pissed off because someone killed their 600 million worth battleship with a few bombers. As I said, these ships are balanced in their own unique ways, and as I said, I'm going to actually go into detail about what each ship type does, but right now we actually need the money, so we actually have the trader, so we can actually start making the money for those ships. And that is not going to be an easy thing to do, considering that damn patrol is not even near Manhattan. So I suppose just waiting for them is not going to be an option. We need to think of something else. Alright, so we are currently in the scrap field behind Manhattan, so we were over here and now we are just a little bit above that. You can see some police and rogues, NPCs flying in the background. So what we're doing here is we are going to mine up a little bit of scrap metal and hope that we actually can sell this for a bit, because what we need to do, we need to quickly get up some money so we can actually buy a ship which would be worth shooting NPCs with. We're going to go for the Camaro, which is sold in Pennsylvania. It's a pretty good fighter. It actually has some very good gun placements, 650 cargo if I'm not mistaken, and that one is going to help us with our little problem. So, okay, we have a full hold of scrap metal, and we can actually sell it for wow! That is actually a pretty good price. 2,300 units, credits per unit on Baltimore Shipyard, and we can actually sell it right here on Rochester. Rochester is a junker base in Liberty. This is the smuggling... well, I'm not inclined to say that it's the smuggling center of Liberty, but it's probably one of the more accessible bases, depending on the actual roads. It's over here. It's not exactly visible, physically visible from afar, so you actually need to use your scanner. But again, if you use the restart, then you have most of these bases mapped. Most of them. You don't really have a big portion of the unlawful ones mapped, but Rochester, for example, is pretty easy to find if you actually played vanilla Freelancer. And what we're going to get from this, I hope, is going to be enough for us to actually do something. So we got 80,000. This is good. We already have 1/10 of a million credits, and it means we need to do this a little bit more. This is going to be a bit of a grind, which is okay. As soon as we get a bigger ship, this is going to be a bit more profitable, but right now we just need to shoot these little rocks. Well, obviously in this case they are not rocks, but you know what I mean. So we need to do this. As you can see, our cargo hold is already half full, so maybe this is actually going to be pretty fast. Not necessarily going to be a grind. So we need to get a full hold 20 times, and then we will be able to buy that Camaro. Alright then, so it pretty much took me about 15 minutes And as you can see, we have almost 2 million credits. Now it's time to go back to Pennsylvania and buy that cargo ship we wanted. And so I suppose that this is one of the easiest ways to set up your character if you're not willing to join a player faction right now. There's actually quite a lot of things you need to unlearn about you know, your usual MMORPG games, or, you know, games like EVE Online or World of Warcraft. If you play those, there's quite a few things you need to learn. For example, in those games, clans are basically a big thing, right? In Discovery, player factions are actually very, very common, and it's not like you need to be in one of them. It's actually very preferable that, for example, you are in the Liberty Navy player faction, and at the same time you joined, for example, the Liberty Rogues player faction. Because it gives two-sided opinion, you sort of see the group fights from both sides, so you know it's preferable. I've seen a lot of players, for example, joining the Outcasts or the Corsairs, only joining those two factions, and they only play those characters. And with due time, since the Outcasts are hostile to Corsairs and vice versa, people actually start hating not the character they're fighting, but the actual players behind the Corsair ships when it comes to Outcasts. That is something you don't want to do, because, quite frankly, that is a big problem in Discovery, that people take some roleplay issues a bit too seriously, and that can actually ruin your game experience if you let yourself do that. But again, that is something you need to account for. Okay, so let's quickly go back to Pennsylvania and buy the Camaro. Alright, here we are in Philadelphia Station in Pennsylvania. It's over here in the middle of the system. And as you can see, we are going to buy the Camaro. There it is. This little nifty freighter is one of my most favorite freighter ships, because not only has a decent cargo, it actually has very good gun placements. When you buy a new ship, though, careful that your ID is actually transferred to the ship, because it doesn't automatically do that. And there we have a new ship. That's a cute little ship. So here's the thing, we actually need to get some turrets for this, because we are actually going to go after transports. So what we have here are improved flashpoints, magma hammers, debilitator turrets. We will probably need 2 of those, although maybe one of them. I think we can have one of them. And this thing is not as powerful. For example, if we sort of like this, but I think we are not getting all of them. Oh, we need to be on friendlier terms to actually... Yeah, this is one of the problems we will encounter, the fact that we sometimes need very good reputation with the NPCs of this station to actually get the best stuff. In this case, I would really love to have the Purple Goddess turrets, because they're awesome, but we have 2 problems. First of all, we don't really have enough money. Each one of them costs 100,000 credits, and we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, so that's going to actually need 500,000 to fully deck this thing out in these turrets. So I suppose back to the field for now. It's going to be easier now because we actually have a bigger cargo hold, so it's going to take us a little bit faster than usual. But, just look at this thing. Isn't it nice? Just look at it. So pretty. It's actually pretty darn agile for a freighter, and this is one of the best freighters in the game, to be honest. Freighters have a very good thing about them, is that they have a improved cruise speed over very heavy fighters and other ships. For example, if the VHFs go 350, this actually goes 400, and if you stamp a cruise disruptor on it, which I think we lack, yes, we don't have a cruise disruptor, it means that we can actually use dedicated combat freighters to actually aid people in battle, and we can be of something of a support role. But again, more on ships. in a different video. Right now we're going to return to Rochester Field and actually get some money. Alright everyone, so this character is almost 1 hour. 3, 2, 1. Yes! 1 hour of in-game time. And guess what? Apparently it's so easy to mine back there that I actually forgo the whole idea of using this as a starter ship, and I actually got about 10 million credits out of this. So this is going to be fun. We are going back to Pennsylvania to buy our first proper transport. So freighters are pretty much any sort of transport below 1,000 cargo space. Now there's obviously a few in between. The Kamara is probably one of the best freighters, as already mentioned, but it is still sort of like a combat ship. It's not really meant to be used for trading, especially in long roads. For example, the ones between Brittany and Liberty, you actually need to have a big ship for making 15 minutes, to make 15 minutes of flying here and there worthwhile. And that is why we are going to ditch this little tiny freighter and go for a proper transport. But again, we're not exactly going to trade, because quite frankly, if you can tolerate trading, there's no problem, right? But if you're like me and hate just flying from point A to point B, you can try mining. That's pretty good too, although you need a specifically set up ship, which I'm going to show you in a later video. But in this case, I'm going to show you how to make quick money while we are not... Well, there's not a lot of us on the server right now. There's plenty of NPCs. You probably already see that I'm actually scanning every NPC I see. That rhymed, by the way. Because as I said, you can actually kill these NPCs for their cargo, and if you know which cargo is actually bought in Liberty, you can actually target the specific NPCs that you see. That rhymed again. So yeah, that is the idea. We are going to make this character into a sort of a, you know, what's the word? I forgot. You know, someone who takes advantage, someone who goes on impulse. And there's the station, and we are about to buy the ship. Alright then, we are now on the station, and here's the ship we want to get. This is the transport. It only costs 6 million, well, 7 million, but the reason why I actually went for 10 million instead of instantly buying ship as soon as I get the money is because we will need different weapons if we're going to attack targets. We start off, see, this is one of the rare ships that actually starts off with the turrets, and these are class 4 turrets. Their projectile speed is very high, the refire is very high, the damage is so-so, but the problem is these turrets are actually meant for anti-fighter. Let me just quickly show you what I mean. So this is the ship, it's pretty ugly. And these are the turrets. As you can see, they're pretty fast. And you can actually shoot small targets pretty well with these, but the problem is they're not too energy sufficient, and they don't really do that much damage in a very short period of time. They're good against fighters because with slower projectiles you won't be able to hit them. Now obviously these turrets are meant to protect you against players who are role-playing a pirate, but quite frankly a very well-flown pirate is never going to be downed by a very well-flown transport. The latter might actually try to survive by flying away, but again, I'm going to actually show you more about the pirates when we actually encounter them instead of now. But right now we need to get different sorts of turrets for what we have in mind. Now the thing is, we are going to attack transports, and transports are known for having a very good shield. First of all, we are going to get rid of all of these turrets. We don't need class 4 turrets. They are pretty useless against transports. At the same time, we will need a terrain cruise disruptor, which will allow us to actually catch NPCs. Of all the NPCs we see here, we will need the Charon transport turrets. As you can see, they deal a lot of damage. That's 2000 damage, refire of 2. They have a very good range, but as you can see, they have half of the projectile speed of the turrets we originally had. And they're pretty expensive, so this is exactly why I wanted some additional cargo. Anyway, we are... that's pretty much it. We are fully equipped to actually go and start hunting some NPCs. And you could just fly around like this and scan NPCs. Oh, we almost forgot. I almost forgot. We will need a better scanner, because we will actually want to scan from afar and see what the NPCs are carrying. So we are going to go and sell our deep scanner and actually find the advanced cargo scanner, which allows us to scan from 4,000 range. This is going to be much better than the one we currently have, and this is going to make our lives so much easier. And here we go. That is a bow axe, but as you can see, it's quite empty. It only has the crew and some unnecessary cargo. This thing is carrying toxic waste. Very profitable in a way, but at the same time I know that toxic waste is actually sold in Liberty and you are supposed to bring it over to Rainland, so that is not what we're going to go after. This Universal is empty as well, and this bow axe is the same bow axe we actually scanned. Yes, he made a bit of a loop. So the hard part about this sort of NPC piracy is the fact that, first of all, you don't want to pirate NPCs next to a station which is actually allied with these NPCs, because station turrets do hurt quite a lot, and they will tear your poor little transport up, especially if it's a small transport like this one. We don't actually have that much armor. As you can see, the base armor is 50,000, and for example, some other larger transports have twice or even thrice as that much armor. Obviously, we can improve our survivability by mounting armor upgrades. Fuck you, NPC. But again, that is something we will need to do a bit later. So one of the reasons why I told you to restart as a freelancer was not only to get a very good very good map of the whole vanilla systems, but also so you could be more or less neutral with all the NPCs. If you would have restarted as Liberty, you would probably be hostile to all the Rainland corporations and military, because Liberty is at war with Rainland. Well, at least now. Things tend to change, so actually, you know, keep an eye on the actual upload date of this video, because something might have changed. So this is one of the spots we can use to hunt NPCs from. We will sit here for a bit and actually wait until some sort of NPC shows up. For example, oh, that is a Samura Bumblebee. That is very good. We are going to... I forgot to buy cruise disruptors. That is not good. Okay, as you can see, this NPC is taking the lane. We are just going to take this lane as well. It's following right at us. Boosh. And I'm being called during a very... Damn it. Well, that damn call cost us our transport, because it flew away. So... QQ. At least now I have the chance to go back to the military academy and buy some trained cruise disruptors, because we will need those if we want to catch some NPCs. Well, the idea here is pretty simple. If you know that shooting an NPC will make the NPCs around you and the stations around you hostile, it's much better to actually take the lane the NPC is going to take and then disrupt it like I showed you in the few moments before. As you can see, for example, this gateway NPC, if it is actually hauling something worthwhile, stealing, you would actually go and take their cargo like that. You would take the lane, jump out, disrupt it, and everything would be fine. I'm actually pretty pissed off that the fucking phone call actually disrupted our little operation. Okay, so a few things you need to worry about when you're doing this. First of all, we're using a Freelancer ID, which does not allow player piracy, but this sort of actions against NPCs has little to no consequences as long as no one catches you doing it. For example, if a Liberty Navy player actually caught you killing their transports, he would probably smash your face in for it. And that is something you need to understand. So for example, we're doing this in New York. New York is pretty much the most active system in the game. So maybe doing this in New York is not really the best thing to do. But again, we are just going to sit here for a moment, wait until some transport pops up. So here we are, here we have a Planetform affiliated player with an advanced train, so this is in fact the biggest transport in the game. It has 5,000 cargo. There's a few transports like that, usually flown by corporations. He's bringing helium from the helium cloud over to, where was it sold? I think it was Kasari for 4,000, so he is going to make 4 times 5,000. He's going to make about 20 million out of that. Not bad. Okay, so I got tired sitting there, went to the California jump gate, got some percherons with oxygen. It's one of the more useless commodities you will find in these transports. If you're doing this in Liberty, I suggest you look for things like boron, hold panels, gold, high temperature alloy, all this sort of things. You can actually start writing down on a piece of paper just things you should be looking out for, the things you shouldn't be looking out for. I can tell you that oxygen is quite useless, so is basic alloy, at least in Liberty. If you're doing that in Rainland, basic alloy buys quite well in Rainland. Water, all sorts of that thing. Toxic waste, as I already mentioned, unless it's Rainland, as I also mentioned, because it actually sells off in Rainland. It all depends on where you're actually going this. Now, I could be trading right now, and I understand that sometimes it's actually much more profitable to trade, but quite frankly, I don't want to run from point A to point B, that and pirates. I have no real desire to share my profits with pirates. But more on piracy in the next video. And here we are back. Let's see, H-Fuel. H-Fuel does not sell in Liberty too well, but it's actually a lot better than what we were having now. The problem is that this is a gateway. It means that as soon as I start shooting this, everything around us is going to go quite red, I think. No, actually, no, it's not. So when you kill the actual NPC, it will drop fuel. If you don't want to pick up everything, including the civilian pilots, which, you know, you could get in trouble from the lawfuls for, I suggest you actually use the shift beep function to pick up things one by one. So from this little wreckage we salvaged almost 1,000 units of fuel. It sells best in Magellan, which is 2 jumps away, but I don't really want to go there. So we are going to sell this off somewhere a lot closer, right here in New York. We just need to take the lane to do it. Okay. We are going to sell it in New York. New York. There we go. So the best sell point is actually West Point Military Academy, which is this station right here. And remember, we killed an NPC. It means that we actually spent no money purchasing the cargo as you otherwise would if you were trading from point A to point B. You would actually have to take into account the fact that you actually need to buy your cargo, which also costs a little. So in this case, it's going to be clean profit, and we got 2.5 million credits. We already made back the money we spent on this ship. So that is how you easily make money. So let's just rinse repeat that, and in the next video I'm going to show you what to actually do with the money we have made so far. Again, if you found this video useful, give me some feedback, comment, like, or otherwise. Tell me how it is. Just depending on how this works, I'm going to either continue these series or not. This was Spazzy, aka Syndromes, Discovery Freelancer. Stay safe.